Hey guys, welcome to today's issue of Burner Brother Antiques. I've got Joe beside me, and he, just like Lucas, is 1 year into this industry. So let's have a talk. Okay, Joe. First off, let's back up. You decided to change course and to get into the antiques auction business and with us. So let's talk about that decision first. How'd you come to that? How'd you arrive at that decision?
It was actually pretty quick. It only happened over the course of maybe, I don't know, a couple days probably. I was pretty set in stone. I was going to go to Georgia, go to chiropractic school, get a dual degree, and get in the medical field. I'm not sure exactly how it was brought up, but one day at El Toro, me and Lucas were sitting there talking, and he talked to me about the opportunity to come work, and he knew we were moving out here, so it happened real quick after that.
Okay, so you went all in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so that decision happened, and so explain, like, what do you actually do? What do you do every day?
Most of the day I catalog, so whatever. Usually I do a lot of silver, a lot of jewelry, silver, gold, and then just kind of small odd items that we have throughout the auction.
Yeah.
Like now I'm doing knives.
Yeah, he's definitely doing knives right now.
Got quite a bit of knives. I'll end up doing some silver, some really cool rings. I get a lot.
Okay. Okay, so daily operations, you're doing a lot of the cataloging.
Mm-hmm.
But a while back, Silk and I challenged you and Lucas both to be able to run an auction without us here. Let's talk through that for just a minute, because you guys were able to do that. You and Lucas, you just did it. And so what else outside of cataloging to make that happen?
Well, we got to set up the auction, which usually takes, I don't know, I'm getting to the point where I can do it probably in about 20 minutes to the whole thing.
So what do you mean set up the auction?
So we got to go through our system here, and we got to set up the auction, get all the right settings for our bidders. Then we have to, of course, catalog the whole auction. So we got 1,000 lots. And then pictures for 1,000 lots, which I think ends up being almost 6,000 pictures a week.
6,000 photos a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens with those photos?
Well, we have two processes that we gotta do with our photos. We gotta rename them, and then we gotta resize them. So every single one of those 6,000 pictures has to be processed
through.
Put to the logs.
Okay, so when we were gone, you were explaining the whole process when Silk and I left, and you guys did the 1,000 lots. So you got the catalogs done, and then what you were doing all of the uploading to Invaluable and to High Bid. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of the uploading to the actual site, making sure all the lots are there, all the pictures matched up, changing the website. That way, people will go to our website, are able to get to our High Bid and Invaluable websites. Okay,
so let me ask you a couple questions here. What has been the most challenging part of jumping into this industry so far?
There's probably two for me. The first one is just kind of knowing what I'm cataloging, like what I'm doing. That's kind of tough just because there's so many different things. So that's been kind of tough. And then once I started kind of buying, that's also been tough because the prices are really high for a lot of things. Not only that, shipping, you got to factor shipping in when you buy stuff, and sometimes that can really bite you in the butt after you buy something.
Okay, so those are both really interesting. So let's talk about the first one, the first challenge. You find stuff you're not really sure how to catalog. How do you approach it? So if you have an item you've never cataloged before and you've got to catalog it, how do you figure that out?
Usually, the first thing I'll always check for is marks. Marks will usually tell me what it is. Like even if I just see a couple letters or a couple numbers, I'm able to put in the computer, whatever it is. Maybe it's a pottery with a couple letters on it. I'll put, the color pottery, and then put pottery in those letters, and then usually I can narrow it down to what it is.
Okay, so you're doing like through Google search?
Yeah,
a lot of Google. Okay,
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So there you go. So he doesn't. He comes across an item he's not quite sure. He puts in the elements that he's sure about in the computer, trying to figure out what it is. Is there anything that's just stumped you and you're like, I just can't figure this out? What is this?
A lot of gemstones are kind of hard to do because you can't really tell if they're glass sometimes, and then they might actually be real gemstones. So that's kind of tough.
So what do you do in that situation?
In that situation, just for our sake and for us, just to be safe, I'll just put the color stone it is.
Yeah. So
that way I'm not saying what
So the people that are bidding on our silver that you're cataloging every week, if you're not 100% sure or you're not quite sure, you'll just put like, hey, purple stone, right?
Yeah.
That way we're not saying something, and we're not saying natural unless we've actually had it tested.
Right.
But other than that, you'll just put the color of the stone.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense, because we don't want anyone to bid on anything they're not familiar with or not comfortable with.
And if it ends up being a real gemstone, that's
it's a
great
bonus,
buy for
right? That happens a lot, actually.
Yeah.
We sell a lot of gemstones that we just call by the color, and the reason, Silk and I have learned this years and years ago, is we are not gemologists, and for us to put a stamp on here and say, hey, this is a natural ruby, we through experience we've learned to just call it red or a ruby. And if they ask if it's natural, say, look, guys, we think it is. It looks like it is to us, but we're not going to say that with absolute. So okay, that's good. The second part was so Joe, this is interesting. You started buying and selling stuff.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about first. What kinds of things do you like to buy and sell?
I like a lot of glass. That seems to be where I can get the most stuff is glass.
So you like to buy it, sell it, collect it, or all the above?
All the above.
All the above. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite piece or type of glass to collect or whatever?
I really like art glass. The older art glass. Like I really like Mozart. Mozart's probably one of my favorite.
Okay.
I really like cameos and etched glass. That's
Okay.
probably one of my favorites.
Okay. That's interesting. And I know you got one really great buy, but what is your best buy actually? Let's talk about that. What's the best buy you've ever gotten on a piece of glass?
Well, still my best buy is going to be the Tiffany. I mean, I don't think I'll ever beat that.
That was incredible. What do you think that's really worth? Now you've done it and you've researched, you've kind of done comparables. What do you think its real value
I think maybe
is?
at an auction it could bring maybe $1,500.
$1,500. And what'd you have to pay for it?
I think I paid $120 for it.
120, under $150.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That gets you excited, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first big
Hit. You're like, wow, look at this. This is
Yeah.
so awesome. Okay, so outside of that, you talked a little bit about challenges on shipping. What do you mean by that?
So I do a lot of buying like on websites like High Bid and Valuable. So I'll buy from an auction house, and then of course I'll need it shipped. But the problem is the shipping right now is really high. So I might get a great buy on a piece of glass for $100. I can make $50 on it, but then the shipping ends up, just cutting that profit in half. And then at that point, it's almost not even worth it.
Yeah. So you've ran into that a few times.
Yeah.
So you actually made a comment to me a couple months ago, is that you can't believe how good we actually do shipping here compared to everywhere else that you buy from.
Yeah.
Talk about that some. This is interesting.
Here at Burners, I like to think we're pretty efficient on getting our items pooled and set out for our shippers to come ship out. We usually can get our entire 1,000-lot auction shipped out and done by usually Wednesday after that auction.
So the auction's on Thursday. The following Wednesday, everything is complete. If it's paid for,
right?
It's shipped.
If it's paid
everything
for,
paid for is
everything
shipped.
is out the door and is on the way to you guys at that point. A lot of the auction houses I deal with when I'm buying, it'll be 4 or 5 weeks before I get the item.
And you had one that you bought. What was the longest? You were kind of frustrated at one point.
I think the longest group that I had to wait for was probably almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months.
No call. I mean, just took forever.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you've learned about the industry. Just insights from Joe. Like, let's hear it. What do you got?
One thing I noticed is that it changes a lot, especially prices. Gold and silver is always going up and down, but one piece might go for this much one day, and the next week, I mean, it'll be really low prices. I had you guys had that problem with iColts. You guys were selling iColts for a lot of money, and then probably after 3-4 weeks, the prices kind of bottomed out, and get away from it. That's
a great example. So Joe's pointing out we had some iColts that we were able to pick up, and we were selling on our Whatnot channel, and there was so much interest. A piece we could actually pick up for $100 and bring 150, 180, and then all of a sudden it just crashed instantly. Yeah, that's happened to me several times in the many times over the past 30 years in this industry. And what's interesting is, from your perspective, you're watching and cataloging and keeping an eye on those trends all the time. Being here doing what you're doing. Because you're touching in 1,000 lots a week. You're handling, you're watching, you're seeing it sell, you're watching it sells as we're having the auctions. What do you think knowledge-wise? Like I'm kind of impressed from my perspective, because I see you able to catalog like all sorts of categories now. Not just, you started out learning how to catalog jewelry, costume jewelry, sterling jewelry. You've gotten really good at that. You're doing gold now. You're doing a lot of our gold cataloging. You're handling a lot of stuff. I am just impressed with that. Like, let's talk through that some more. Other categories that you're just not afraid to just say, yeah, I can catalog it out.
As long as it's not, I know it's not crazy expensive, because I don't trust my abilities quite yet. There's still some things that I'm not sure of, but a lot of smalls like lamps are getting pretty easy. It's easy to tell the difference between like bronze, brass, all that kind of stuff, spelter.
That's cool.
And then the shades are pretty basic, and you got leaded, you got slag.
Okay.
So, I mean,
you're looking for marks, you're looking for any kind of
yeah.
identification, and then usually if it's not identified, we don't put names or associates with it.
No.
Okay.
There are some times where it might look pretty dang close. We'll put manner of, just to give our buyers an idea of what it could be.
Yeah. Okay. So you also have a showcase here in the Antique Center, and it seems to me, like from my perspective, that you really have focused in on cloisonne. Like, tell me about that. What's this? I'm watching you buy a lot of cloisonne right now. What's going on with that?
I don't know why it really started. I've always been really interested in Japanese culture, just in general.
Okay.
So when I found that they have really cool vases that look like that, I don't know, I just really like them. And usually you can get pretty good buys on cloisonne. Every now and then you get some really good buys on them.
Okay. So you got a shelf full of stuff up here behind us. Is that your collection? Is that stuff you're keeping? Like, I keep seeing the same items staying for quite a while up there.
Most of the stuff up there is stuff I will end up selling, but the problem is with the shipping and the initial cost of what it took to buy, I have too much in it, so I'm trying to get a big pile. That way, the prices can come down.
So you're cost averaging it out,
right?
So you've got a couple good buys on some things, and then the shipping comes in way too high, but you have no choice, right?
Yeah.
And so you get it in, and then you're just waiting for another bargain to put with it to keep the cost down, where you can then flip the whole group.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, so folks out there watching, Joe, you've been doing this for a year now. Tell us, like, are you excited about that? You regret it? Like, where are you at?
No, I'm excited about it. I mean, there's still a ton to learn. There's hundreds of thousands of different items I've still yet to learn about. So that's always something, I like learning all the time. So this is definitely the industry to be in for that.
Yeah, so I want to add on what you said for our viewers out there. There's no end to what you can learn in this industry. Like, there's always new categories that are rising up. There's new artists that get popular. There's things that get less trendy, less popular, and then you got these trend items that just shoot right through the industry, and you watch it go up and go down. It's like, whoa, there went one. So right now, these blow molds, in the antiques. I know that's an easy one because I just filmed some yesterday, but. Blow molds right now blow my mind. How popular they are, and everybody wants vintage blow molds. But okay, what other things do you see in our industry, Joe, trending that you're like, man, there's been a lot of interest in this kind of thing? What do you see?
The paper-weights that we do come in, usually our paper-weights do really well. Silver is always really good. The last couple weeks we've had some pretty good sterling silver, just some tea sets, just some cool English silver. That always does really, really well. And then art seems to be pretty strong when it's by a good
listed artist.
Usually that's pretty strong no matter what.
Okay. So what do you see tanking that you're surprised that we sell, that you're like, I can't believe this stuff only brings this much?
A lot of the cool bigger vases, they're really, really cool. They don't go for a ton, and I assume that's probably because of shipping as well. Just because the buyers will know that. Yeah, it's like because of the size, it's just going to be too much. So that's always kind of disappointing to see a really cool vase, but it doesn't go for very much because it's just too much on the shipping.
Okay. Any other surprises that you've seen in the past year? You're like, whoa, I didn't expect that, or didn't think about that.
Every now and then I'll get really surprised at jewelry. We just sold what was it, 18 karat gold Le Coulter watch, and that watch went for what, $3,500. just that kind of stuff really surprised me. I mean, it was only an inch and a half long, and it's worth
$3,000 plus or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting that you brought up jewelry. I think for our viewers out there too, jewelry is one of those markets or those areas in the industry where I think there's a lot of ability to make a living from or make a profit on. Lots of interest
Definitely.
in. It seems like there's always going to be interest in jewelry, and there's always room for more jewelry in a house. Like you don't really ever run out of enough room for jewelry. So a lot of times we sell furniture and big items, and they're hard to sell because not everyone can put it in their home. But jewelry is something where it's like everybody's got another spot for a ring or something. So that's cool. Okay, so that's a surprise. Anything else that surprises you outside of the jewelry?
Nothing really surprised me. You know, I'm always surprised when we know something's really good and just the wrong buyers on the wrong day. You know, just.
So we sell a lot of really good buys, you're saying. You know, we'll sell something, you can see the comparables are all like $1,000 range, and we sell it for $350. And you're like, wow, that was a really great buy.
But we also sell 1,000 lots. I mean, I think that makes up, because a lot of auction houses, you know, they're struggling to get 600 lots every 3-4 weeks. And we're doing 1,000 lots every week.
Every week.
So I think those couple 300-400 lots really make up the loss in, you know, whatever.
It averages out, and overall at the end of the day it's a profitable and keep all of us paying our bills and having these guys making a livelihood here. So okay, anything else you want to share with our viewers, Joe?
Nothing off the top of my head.
Okay, I got last question for you. Tell us about your judo, bull riding, this crave to get this adrenaline flow and stuff you love to do. Like, tell us about your personal side here a minute.
I don't know. I've just always liked to fight. I mean,
not street fight.
Not street fight. I've liked to sport fight. I've always been into the one-on-one contact sports. So, you know, I wrestled, I do judo, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. One of my goals is to get into cage fighting. That's my next next thing.
Cage fighting.
Once my knee heals up, that's because the club I'm associated with, they put on promotional fights where you can fight for money. So I think that'd be real cool to do. So that's my next thing.
Adrenaline junkie Joe over here. I keep telling him he's getting old enough he don't need to do that anymore, but he's still wanting to go. I don't know. You guys tell us, what do you think? Should Joe continue on and go or not? Let us know. He thinks he should. I don't know. I think your grandpa and I don't think he should, but I guess that's okay.
That'd be pretty cool to watch on TV, though.
Would be. I'll root you on no matter what you do. I'll put it that way. That's exciting. Well, guys, again, Joe is such an awesome kid. We're so proud of him, and he's been here working with us now. There's Brittany. Hi. How are you? Anything else you want to add, Joe?
Nothing else for me.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us. Appreciate it. Over 1 year now, Josiah right here working with us. Exciting news. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, and tell us what you think about Joe. I'm sure he's going to read all of the comments, so make them good, guys.
There he is.